So they say that life doesn't happen to us, but it happens for us. Today we're going to reflect on a book that Haley and I both read called Shift Happens by Robert Holden. And this was a groundbreaking book, I think, and we're going to tell you why. Welcome to the Five Squad. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Five Squad podcast. For those out there who do not know who we are, my name is Evan Andrews.
I'm Haley Andrews.
And today is going to be a fun one because we're both talking about a book that we read. She reads 25 times more books than I do. So this is fun for me, I guess. But we're going to talk about and reflect on a book that we read that is not of a genre that you like to read.
Okay, take that back because I started in the self-help space.
She did.
And actually, let me tell you a little bit of backstory of the book really quick.
Okay.
So I don't know if you remember this, why I got you this book. I got this book as a gift because I knew a guy from...
You knew a guy?
Yes, I know a lot of guys. I knew a guy that came from the town that we live in and became like a really big artist. And obviously, if you know us personally, you might know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into that.
Sure.
But he posted on social media one day that I don't know if it was his therapist or somebody told him to read this book. And he read this book. And after reading this book was the first time he ever got like a really big paying painting artist. Yep. What do you call it? Commission.
Yeah.
And I just remember like him writing like a really long post about, being an artist is like a really difficult perspective space to be in. And so I just remember I was like, I'm just going to get it for Evan. And then it sat and it sat and it sat and it sat and it sat. And so I was like, maybe I'm going to read it first. Cause I was taking a break from like the self-help space and trying to read for like fun. And then I just read it in 1.5 days, and then you finally got to finishing it. So I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, it was a good book. It's called Shift Happens by Robert Holden. And it was...
How to Live an Inspired Life Starting Right Now.
Boom. Yeah, it was very much it's very much like a mindset book on how we handle life as it happens to us. At least that's what I got out of it.
Well, yeah, and it's also saying that it doesn't happen to us. Like we said in the beginning, it happens for us.
Right, and I think reshifting that perspective.
Yeah, I think a lot of the book is I don't want to say a slap in the face, but it really is like
a check.
It is it is like a check engine light. Each chapter is a different perspective that we tend to carry and how we need to shift it. And in doing so, what types of life changes can happen, from those little shifts. And they're tiny, tiny little things. You don't realize how often your perspective is off.
Yeah. I mean, it's here in the kind of the breakdown that we have of the book, it talks about how shifting your mindset can change your reality. I mean, I think when we say that, it kind of sounds like obvious, right?
Yeah, but when you have these like deep beliefs that lead to these deep perspectives, you don't even realize that your perspective is what's holding you back. I can say that for a literal fact for me. Like I really struggle in this space. It's always me struggling more than you.
Well, no, I mean, I also too, so
our perspectives are different that need shifting.
I will say this. I will say that I don't know when the change happened for me, but I don't say a long time ago, but like my early 20s, I was kind of like a pessimist. Like I always thought I always tried to poke holes in the boat. Like where's the fault? Where's this or where's that? But I don't know where or exactly when that like overall shift happened for me. But I started just looking at things like, I think benefit of the doubt and kind of, which some people can look at that like that's kind of naive or whatever, but
I think I know where your shift happened. I think it really started, actually I think our shifts both started happening after I finished my first round of life coaching, with Samantha. And I think it's really funny that you mentioned that, which brought me to this thought, because inside of the book, my note to you is exactly what she used to always tell me, which was imperfect action is action forward.
Yeah.
We tend to think that we have to make the perfect step to move forward. It has to be perfect. The website has to be perfect. The content has to be perfect. The decision has to be perfect before we can make the step forward. But actually just taking that step forward is action.
Yeah, we say at Master Filmmaker, 80% done by somebody else is better than 100% done by me.
Right.
So like, it's kind of understanding like the 80-20 rule of like, can't be perfect, it never will be.
And you're holding yourself back by thinking that, but you're not even holding yourself back just by waiting to be perfect. You're actually holding yourself back by thinking that you can even be perfect.
Sure.
Like, that perspective that it has to be perfect for somebody to like it, or you have to be perfect for someone to like you, is often, especially in the content creation space world, wouldn't you say? Like, it definitely holds you back. For me, obviously, I'm not creating content right now. I'm at month 7, I think 8 actually, of no social media. But I think for me, it is that, am I good enough, worthy enough perspective to be in this space, to be in this meeting, to be in this wherever, to go to this job, to whatever. I think that's where, for like the working woman, that perfectionism, is that a word?
No,
Perfectionism
I'll go with it.
Holds me back.
Sure.
That perspective that I have to be perfect for people to like me, or for like this, like I have to be perfect for this.
Yeah, which is really not. It's just about trusting the process and kind of going through it.
Yeah.
So, he talks about in it that you can use practical tools to kind of embrace the change, right? A couple that he particularly mentions are practicing gratitude and mindfulness to your situations and scenarios. How do you now use those in, because this book is very much rooted in his faith as well.
Yeah. Actually, I think the practical tools, and I actually had a different answer until this morning when I was doing my morning routine. We just talked about that. And I was listening to a podcast that was very faith-based about these practical tools and gratitude and mindfulness, applying the ability to be thankful in a moment where you feel out of control or overly anxious, or like, if you're in some type of negative space, just being able to stop. And I mean, if you're not a believer, you don't necessarily have to do it like this, but using the God I'm thankful for, and then bringing in a tactical tool from therapy, which is naming things like things you see, things you smell, things you hear, things you taste. And there's another sense I'm not thinking about. Things you can feel.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, what I like to do is when I'm feeling these perspectives that need to be shifted, I remind myself, like, thank you for this bed that I'm laying in, because like not everybody has a bed.
Yeah.
Thank you for, like last night I was telling you, like the roof over our head. We have a table to sit at together and we choose to, like, just think little bitty things that you just kind of take for granted on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And that really shifts your perspective on the day to day. Kind of like, instead of going through life like, I wish I were here or I don't have this, it's like, I prayed to be in this space with these things that I've been given, and I need to be grateful for them. Yeah. And mindful that not everybody else has them.
Yeah, another one he talks about is like the importance of how we forgive, whether we forgive ourselves or others for situations that we feel like we hold on to, or different things like that.
I think that part of the book and that part of life for me is really difficult. I mean,
forgiving others?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure it's difficult for many people that have gone through any type of trauma or mental health or mental illness struggles. Forgiveness is very difficult, but especially forgiving yourself. I think for me, I struggle a lot with that. He says it's freeing yourself from your past, and my role as a mom has so much tied into my past that for a long time, and still to this day, I struggled with forgiving that past me. And sometimes I grieve that past me, like the things that she had to go through, but they're all needed for me to be who I am today.
Right.
And it's important to forgive yourself because, again, it's one of those things that's going to just hold you back if you're constantly thinking of who you were in the past or whatever you did or didn't do in the past.
No, totally. I mean, another one is that are like kind of the either or is choosing love over fear, right? Because I think everybody with not knowing what's to come, not maybe understanding how certain things are happening, it puts us in like a fear state. I know that I go through that probably more often than I want to admit.
I think we're so afraid of the bad what ifs that we forget to love the good what ifs. And you know what's weird is I think I'm really good at showing you guys that. Like, I think I overly love y'all, you know, like you and the kids. I'm really good at pointing you guys to lovingly push through the fear that I don't show myself that kind of love. Like, I don't allow myself the space to love me because I still sometimes don't forgive that past. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That past me. But I'm really good at pointing you guys to it. I definitely think that's a perspective shift that I need to continue working on is
For your own self?
yeah, the love instead of fear.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's weird. Like I said in our last episode about how I start my day off in this kind of lull most of the time. And then like by the end of it, I'm like, wow. Like, so I feel like I go through all of that in like
in the
24
day.
hours.
Yeah.
It's like, and like, so, no, I mean, I definitely deal with that one in my own weird way, the way that it is, but
I think it's because you have a business. I mean, you work for yourself, so you're constantly.
It'd be different if I was getting up and going to a job every day. Where
I mean, you're constantly thinking like, is this the right thing to say? Is this the right thing to post? Is this the right decision for my business? I mean, I would imagine. I don't know.
I mean, some of those are true. Some of them are a little different,
but those perspectives have to shift in order to be successful. Like
100%.
You can't let the fear of, judgment or a bad call or a bad decision keep you in the space that you're in.
100%. So this is the point where we just, what are your key takeaways from the book in terms of, if you could put it into summation for somebody?
I mean, I think one of the best tips I can give you is some of the chapter titles. I mean, the one I love most is happiness is an inner light with no off switch. Like, you can choose to be happy or not happy. You are what you seek. I mean, with the way that the world is going and we're consuming so much content, like, choose better things to watch, listen to, engage in, because you're your own deciding factor on whether you're gonna take your thoughts downward or upward. I mean, I think that's a really big takeaway for me, especially with not being on social for this long. I've really gotten to see how some of that, and some of it is mindless content, right? But even that was leading me to being less forgiving of myself and being less loving of myself and really not having the right perspectives.
Yeah, I think the one for me that overall was we can plan and we can think that we're in the control that we're in, but there was a part in the book where he was talking about where he was flying to like Switzerland or Germany or something like that to like give a speech. And he was in the middle of the plane or the plane ride there, and he like reached in his pocket for his cards, his note cards, and he didn't have them, and he was just like, well, like, there's nothing I can really do
spent
about
all that time preparing for his speech.
Exactly. And it just goes to show you, like, I could sit here and write the best outline for a piece of content that I think is perfect, and then it's like my computer dies and I can't reread it off. Or I think it's like something's gonna happen where
I think that's where
I don't have the control.
But I think that's where for me, like, it's really easy to think that we have control in anything, and because I'm a believer, but I always have to remind myself, like, this is all part of God's plan for me. Like, even the struggles, actually, especially the struggles, that's where, for me, my message or God's message gets out. Like, what his plan is for us is way bigger than what we could even try to control,
Yeah, no, totally.
Which is, for me, is like the whole encompassing of his message here. It's like, you're not in control, but the one thing you can control is your perspective. And once you shift it, things really do change.
Yeah, you find the good in the things that you actually want because you're thinking about them.
Right. And you find the good in what you actually have because it is what you have and you can't change it. So take the small steps, Take the small steps.
The book, I don't know if you want to show everybody out, the book is called Shift Happens by Robert Holden. Highly recommend. It's a pretty easy read. It's not like a...
It's fun and
it's not like it's...
quick.
It's a pretty easy read.
It is a lot of pages though.
Yeah, but it's easy.
I mean, not for me.
It's an easy read. But we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully that you guys go out and read the book. Listen to it on audiobook if that's the kind of person that you are.
Or just make the shifts happen.
Or just learn how to make those shifts happen in your everyday life. But if you guys got all the way to the end of this one, make sure that you go like this video, share it with somebody who might need to hear it for themselves. Send them the book recommendation because, hey, they need it as well. And we're going to leave you the same way that we leave you every single episode. And just remember that every day is a new day, a new chance to get it right.
Keep pushing forward and stay inspired. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.